If God is for us, then who the is against us? Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top.
Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot.
Welcome to the Wealth Mindset with J.D. Garnier. Listen, as always with this show, my ultimate goal is to help you not acquire wealth, not obtain wealth, but to walk in wealth, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. To take the things that God has already given you and turn those into a life of purpose so that wealth is more than just what you acquire. Wealth is who you become. I say it all the time. You are the wealth. It's not your investments. It's not your real estate. It's not your business. It's you. And before you have any of those things, you have a unique and specific set of talents, abilities, gifts, ideas, habits, disciplines, and inclinations that form the basis of everything that you do in this world. It's the essence of who you are. And once you tap into that, you start to build wealth in your life. So again, you are the wealth. Listen, if you like my content, if you like my message, please follow me on all platforms at either JD Garnier or Garnier JD. Please also purchase all of my books and products at my website, jdgarnier.com, and just show me support. I'm just trying to send a message. Nah, this is what I was thinking about. I think that we are on the cusp of what I call the Black Wealth Renaissance. I think we're on the cusp of an economic awakening where we are no longer excited by things that glitter, right? We're no longer distracted by things that ultimately do not lead to wealth and instead lead to our destruction. And so there's a shift, right, in our focus. There is a shift in what we're paying attention to. There is a shift in our appetite for information. And now people want the information. They want to know. There is a hunger for information. Because when you want to improve, the main thing you want to do is get the information so that you do it right. And so once we recognized that not only did we need to, but we wanted to improve, we did not want to remain in these conditions, right, where we are just repeating these cycles, then started the awakening, the desire for knowledge and wisdom and information. And that's where we are now. And so as a group, we are starting businesses more than ever. We are investing more than ever. We are having conversations that for decades and even centuries we did not want to have because we did not really understand or know how to participate in the economy. I always say we pay for capitalism, but we don't participate in capitalism, right? We're the workers. We're the consumers. We pay for this economy with our labor, with our consumption, with the high interest rates that we pay. We pay for capitalism. But now is the time that we participate in it, that we benefit from it, right? Collectively. And so I see that shift. I see that mindset. We are starting to do that. But I don't want us to miss the opportunity. I don't want us to miss the opportunity to change our dynamics because according to the statistics, according to the economists, it's going to take over 200 years to change the racial wealth gap. But I believe that we could do it in one generation if we seize the opportunity. What is the opportunity? Well, this is the thing that I am most encouraged by. See, when you want to change something, people that think that you need the overwhelming majority or everybody needs to shift and change, to be able to change a society for the better. But in honesty, it only takes a tipping point. It only takes a small minority of committed people to change the dynamics and the circumstances of a larger group. And so it don't take all of us to make change in our community. And so I'm encouraged that we have enough people, right, that want to see things improve and are committed not only to their personal wealth and their personal gain, but to the betterment of the community as a whole. And that's what it starts with. And those people are people that I call wealth creators, right? Wealth creators are people in our community. We all have them in our family, right? If you're blessed enough, your whole family is full of wealth creators. But I meet people all the time, right? And they've achieved a certain level of financial success, right? Whether that be through them becoming a professional, whether it's a doctor or an attorney, an engineer, or whether they're an extremely successful business owner, right? Or whether they're in entertainment, right? And then they become this anomaly in their family where they are the wealth creator, right? They're the ones that become financially responsible for everyone in their life, both vertically and horizontally. Vertically through their bloodline, right? They take care of their parents and their line and their children, and then vertically throughout all of their friends and associates and colleagues. And so this one person, once they achieve a certain amount of economic success, right, now becomes responsible for the whole. Right? That doesn't mean they're paying everybody's bills, but it just means that they become the last line of defense, right, in their family economics. And so what does that person do to change the dynamics of their entire family? It all starts with the wealth creator. And so if you're a wealth creator in your family, if you're somebody who's achieved some level of success, right, where people depend on you, right? Whether it be for finance or whether it be for wisdom or knowledge, because you are that person that understands how to hold it together, I'm going to tell you now you have the responsibility of closing the racial wealth gap. It now becomes your responsibility because you are the person that has enlightened themselves to take advantage economically, and now we have to change the cycle. And so I'm going to tell you how to do it. We have to change our circumstances both vertically and horizontally. Vertically is through our bloodline. Before we talk about money, before we talk about investing, before we talk about anything that has to do with financial resources, y'all not going to like me when I say this, but we have to repair our families. No amount of reparations, no amount of money, no amount of financial repair is going to repair the damaged relationships that we have. And so vertically, through our lineage, through our bloodline, we have to reconnect our families. It's not enough for us to just make a lot of money. Then our relationships become transactional. It has to be about more than money. And so in order to reconnect those relationships, for some of us, that means forgiveness. Right? You have to forgive people for things that they may have done to you, ways that they may have wronged you, and now you're holding on to it, but that bitterness is affecting and hurting you. Even though you may be financially successful, right? Your heart is not pure. So we have to find ways to reconnect our families. For some of us, it's going to be forgiveness, right? For some of us, it's just going to be taking over a leadership role, right? Stepping in and helping people to stop make bad decisions for themselves. But the point is, as the wealth creator, now you are tasked with reconnecting the dots. And it starts with our vertical integration, the reconnection of our families. One of the things that I'm most proud of with my family is the fact that we have records. The fact that I can go back and know who my great-great-grandparents were, right? And I can look at my family tree and my bloodline, and I can know that I had cousins that accomplished this, right? And great uncles and great grandparents that did these things, because I truly believe that the more perspective we have on our heritage, the more insight we have to who we really are. And even though these are people that I've never met, that in some cases lived 100 years ago, I know just enough about their story to be able to connect the dots with who I am. And a big problem in our community is a lot of us don't even know who we are. Unfortunately, a lot of us have not connected, or we have no idea of our family line past our parents or grandparents. We have certain characteristics or character traits that we can't really understand or decipher, and we don't know enough about our heritage to put the pieces together. And it's a shame that when that happens, because now you're disconnected from the roots. You're disconnected from your bloodline. And so we have to find ways to repair that, right? We have to find ways to connect the dots. Even if some of the stories aren't great, it's many things that have happened in my family in the past, right, that were not great. Things that I'm embarrassed about. But it's important for me to know that, to give me perspective, right? Because that perspective now helps me understand my responsibility with my family, how to make things better, how not to make those same mistakes. And so this is where we have to start, with the repairing and connection of our family. And once we are able to do it, from a bloodline perspective, and making sure that, you connect all of the dots, and you're able to gather as many of you together, then the next goal is to now make certain that everyone is protected. That we are truly, truly intentional about generational wealth. I say all the time, generational wealth requires three things. It requires value, values, and valuables, right? We have to be intentional about how we leave each to the next generation. It can't just be about money, but value is important. And I say, I don't care if you own this much of the earth, you should want to leave that to the next generation responsibly. All of us should have something that leaves our assets to the next generation. We have to do our basic estate planning. That's why it's so important. We have to have wills. If we have more complex asset structures, then we may need to look at trusts or other vehicles. But these are things that are non-negotiable anymore. I can't tell you how many acres of family land, how much real estate, how many assets I have seen depleted because people did not do the proper estate planning. How can you talk about generational wealth if we are not intentional on how we leave assets to the next generation? And so as a wealth creator, it becomes your responsibility to make sure that everybody in your family is protected. They have what they need based on the things that they have. And as a family, you are able now to understand the flow of wealth while people are still here. In addition to that, the easiest way in the world to make your family millionaires is through life insurance. We all know that, but we don't do it. I was worth $1 million, but before I had ever seen that amount of money. When I was 24 years old, I bought a multi-million-dollar life insurance policy because I knew one day I would be worth that. And so if something would have happened before that, I wanted to make sure that at least somebody in my family was going to be a multi-millionaire. That's the easiest way to leverage resources to the next generation, even if you're not worth that today. Because if you make $50,000 a year and something happens to you, 50,000 times the next 20 years is what your family is losing in income. That's $1 million right there. And so why would you not want to protect that? Why would you want to put your family in a circumstance where they can't take care of themselves? Right? That's the easiest way to leverage wealth to the next generation. And so we do those two things, the proper estate planning and life insurance. Now we have a baseline, right? Now we have a foundation. Now we are protecting what we have and transferring it responsibly, cutting down on taxes and fees and families fighting over assets. And we are leaving things responsibly, and we're leveraging the power of life insurance. That's the basics. Just doing the basics would close the racial wealth gap in one generation. If the wealth creator took it upon themselves to make sure that their parents, everybody connected to them or financially responsible for them, had all of their estate planning in order, made sure that everything was documented, y'all understand how things were going to flow, you made sure you had the proper life insurance on all of your family, right? You had the proper, if you have complicated assets, you have things set up in trusts, right? This is when you sit down with professionals to help you structure things properly. These are conversations I have on a daily basis. So I'm not giving you advice, but what I am saying is, right, this is how you start. And you take it upon yourself to make certain that everybody connected to you is in order. And that connects the chain vertically. Once you make sure that the line above you is done, you make sure your children are connected. That you have things set up for them properly. That if anything happens to you, they're protected. That you're looking out for their future. Now you have fully integrated the family vertically. You're connected as a wealth creator. You can understand the flow of your wealth from generation to generation. You are intentional about that. Once you've done that, the next step is to connect with your community horizontally. Because you don't know what you don't know. And so if you're the wealth creator, where are you getting your wisdom? Where are you getting your knowledge? Where are you getting your information? If you're the one that's giving it to your family, you're getting it through your resources, through your relationships, through your connections, through your associations, through the organizations that you're a part of, through the people that you connect with and associate with, right? Through your colleagues, through your friends, through your community, your network, right? You're intentional, or we are intentional about sharing information with one another, sharing resources with one another, pooling resources together, figuring out ideas together. We don't all have to do this by ourselves, right? This is where you find and connect with other wealth creators, right? You learn other ideas and other strategies, right? You gain wisdom and knowledge from your network, and then now you integrate that knowledge vertically within your family system. That's how we change and close the racial wealth gap. Change doesn't happen from the outside in. It happens from the inside out. You don't change the course or growth or direction or health of a tree by nipping at the branches, by manicuring the leaves. You change it by attacking the roots, by starting from the bottom, by changing the mindset of the individual, and then changing the mindset of the family unit and structure, and then changing the mindset of the community, and then collectively thinking in a way that is for the greater good. That's how we change the racial wealth gap. It only starts with a tipping point. It doesn't take a super majority. But the opportunity is there. The world is changing faster than we are prepared for. We have to prioritize how we teach and educate our children, making sure that they're not only financially literate, but functionally literate. They'll have to be able to utilize technology as a tool to help them, and not only to entertain them. That's our responsibility. Other groups of people are preparing their children. We have to do the same. We have to take charge in that. We cannot rely just on the school system to do it. Before my children can turn on an electronic, They have to read 10 pages. One of the best moments I have is when I wake up on a Saturday morning and I see my children sitting at the kitchen table or the kitchen counter reading in silence. Even if it's for the end of them getting on their video games or electronics, it is forcing a habit. Because now I don't even have to ask them to do it. But those 10 pages multiplied over time develop a routine in their mind that expands their mind beyond what I can even conceive of. These are the types of intentional things that we need to be doing in our household. Before my children can go outside and play, I come home and print out math questions because I tell my children, if you know how to do math, you can solve problems. And if you know how to read, nobody can withhold information from you. So these fundamental things, no matter how far you go in your education, are so vital to your success that we have to do them every day. We have to repeat them every day. These are the types of things that we need to be instilling in our children as a collective group. Because it doesn't matter what laws we pass today. If we're not preparing the next generation for the future, nothing we do is going to matter. Wealth mindset.